So, this question of what happens after we die in this lifetime is a pretty hot topic. And I don't claim to have the answers. I can only report on what happens during my regressions. And, the way that Dolores Cannon taught me to do regressions, virtually every regression is also a near-death experience on some level, what people call near-death experiences, because we always take the client, whatever kind of lifetime they're in, whether they're a tree or a rabbit or a dinosaur or a person or whatever, we take them to the moment of their death. And so I have experienced with my clients hundreds of different kinds of death. And it does follow a pattern. So I'd be happy to tell you about some of the things that I've had reported to me. I think the most important thing to say is that I have never had a single client who was in pain at the time of their death. They might have some discomfort, but especially people who die in accidents. And I've had people die with, swords in their bellies, or having a guillotine, or being smashed under a rock. I mean, what happens is that the soul is retrieved from the body before it has a chance to experience the sort of agony that might happen. Very merciful. And so that's number one. Number two, what always happens is that the spirit begins to just lift up out of the body and float to the ceiling or just a little bit above the body, whatever kind of body it is. And that is also a complete commonality. My favorite description of death that anybody has ever given me, I think, is someone who said, I breathed my life out with my last breath, like as if it were kind of a sigh, and the body let go of the soul. My other favorite one, and I think I've told you about this before, is I had a client who was a robot, and everything has consciousness. And when she died, her model was outmoded. Like, they had found a model that worked better than her model. And so she was, redundant at that point. And so she was supposed to kill herself. And I said to her, "How do you die?" And she said, "I unplug myself," which I thought was just adorable. And she wasn't upset about her death at all. She said, well, there was a better model than me at that point, and they needed that person. Anyway, okay, back to what happens after we float out of the body. So there's usually an incredible sense of relief, and also of kind of looking down at the body and realizing how insignificant the body had been, and a sense immediately of being filled with a kind of universal knowledge and love and understanding of what a small part that life had played in the bigger picture, and a knowing of one's eternalness seems to happen. And then as the person is able to, sometimes I'll say, do you want to go say goodbye to somebody? Do you want to look at where you lived from a higher level? So they'll sometimes look at the town, or look at their house, or look at the forest they lived in, or whatever. And so they'll experience that. And then at a certain point, they begin to feel a kind of tide or a kind of pulling towards either a light or a warmth. And oftentimes somebody will come to greet them. Now, this can be somebody that we knew in the lifetime we were discussing. This can be an angel. It can be a spirit guide. And they come for the person. And what they do is there's a kind of a recognition of where to go next. Either the person, the soul knows where it wants to go, or the loved one, spirit guide, whatever, will just know where they need to go. And some people go to a place to rest. Some people go to a beautiful forest where the trees are described as being sort of like the ones we have here on Earth, but more beautiful, more magical. The colors have much more vibrancy. They'll go to a field of flowers. So generally, people will go to a place that they feel is restful or heavenly to them. And it's different for everybody. I've been to a beautiful place that was filled with magical animals where the person got to see, unicorns and dragons and things like that. And then inevitably after a time, and this doesn't happen in every lifetime, sometimes, people will die and they'll just say, I don't see anything else. And that's usually because they're meant to go quickly to another lifetime that we're supposed to go to. It doesn't mean they don't go to another realm. But so after they've rested, there is a life review. And this is generally done around a table or sometimes in a sort of a place that just looks like it's a cloud or something. And this is when the person is able to look back at their life and see all of the sort of ripples and waves of their behavior and how it affected other people and other situations in their life. And they get to see not only how their good, when I say good, how their positive actions affected others all the way, like how if you're nice to one person, then you may not see it, but that person is then nice to another. And in the same way, just as if you did something kind of negative, that also has repercussions and ripple effects throughout the whole system. So they're never judged. You're judging yourself. Did I do a good job? Could I have done better? Did I fulfill the lessons that I came in here to learn? Did I do the work I meant to do? And so the person can judge themselves, but there's always a very, very forgiving feeling in the room for whatever happened. And so from there, we as practitioners usually will say, what's the next lifetime we should go to? So at that point, I take them to the next lifetime that they need to see. So I hope that answers some questions. And I don't think I've said anything earth-shatteringly new here, but I wanted to kind of encapsulate it all and sort of tell you what my experience is. And, over the years of doing this, I've come to have absolutely zero fear of my own death. I'm terrified that people I love will die, even though I don't believe that their soul ends at that point. Earthly love and attachments, of course, are so powerful. So it's a comfort to know for me individually, I'll be okay. And of course, everyone I love and know will be okay. But as a human being, of course, we will miss each other terribly. So let me know if you have any questions or if you'd like me to clarify any aspect of this. And look forward to the next time. Bye.